Bowers Game Corner presents Gencon Video Bonanza 2015. Brought to you by Gatekeeper Games, makers of The King's Armory, Thunder Track, the new sequel to Turbo Rally Card Racing, and the generous support of our Kickstarter backers.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back in day for more of our Gen Con Bonanza 2015. I'm talking really fast because we're about to get a gameplay, a little bit of a spiel about Campaign Trail from Nathan of Cosmic Wombat Games, which is coming to a Kickstarter near you coming later this year. We're at Gen Con 2015. Let's learn some more about Campaign Trail.
All right. So this Campaign Trail, awesome. Good times. It is.
Play the big game. I hate this guy. I really hate this guy. So let me know in the comments below. We'll do this part now. What are your thoughts on loud, booming voices that interrupt videos? I really loathe them. They make me so mad. Eric actually has a grudge against this guy. We're going to meet him in the parking lot. There's a lot of cars. We're just going to wait at every single one of them. Eventually, we'll find this guy.
Oh, good times. Got to go with the flow, right? Okay, so this is Campaign Trail. It is a 2 to 6 player game that is a politically themed game. You're competing for presidency of the United States. You're trying to get the most number of electoral votes. One of the unique aspects is that it is 6 players. Most political themed games only play 2 players. In this game, there is a third party. We didn't actually put that in the giant version for sake of cost, but the tabletop version, which is what the Kickstarter is for, does have a third independent party. For sake of gameplay, it is balanced. Everything's balanced. In fact, you can actually play, when you play 2 parties, you can play independent and Republican or independent and Democrat, any combination, if you will. Again, about 2 hours. It is a little bit longer with 4 to 6 players because 4 to 6 players is a team game. You actually play as president and vice presidential candidates. You share the same resources, but you also you have separate hands and separate turns and that sort of thing. So because of the level strategy table talk, there's a little bit longer. Although we did have 2 different 6-player games that played under 2 hours. So it's a very meaty game that still is within that 2-hour time frame. How the game works, you actually have a hand of cards that are, you have 5 different cards, and these are some examples of those cards. Each card has 4 different actions on it, and I'll walk through that. But what you do on your turn is very simple to take a turn. You play a card, pick an action, and carry out that action, then draw a card. That's simple. But within that, there's a lot of strategic choices available. So the options that you have, there's 6 actions total in the game. The first 3, if you will, they appear at the top of the card. If I can find the right one here. They appear along here at the top. You could think of them almost as kind of support actions, setting yourself up for future turns. So the first one there that we have is travel. You have a pawn or meeple that moves around the board. You can travel up to a certain number of spaces. Like here, it's up to 3 spaces, up to 4 spaces, that sort of thing. There are some that actually have an airplane on them. That allows you to move from any location to one of the cities. So it's an easy way to jump, if you will. You have a register action. It's a form of resource management because you have a pool of cubes off to the side, kind of your bank, if you will, that that's your apathetic voters that don't really care. They're not sure if they're going to vote in the election, that kind of thing, right? But when you play a card to get that many voters, if I can find one here, for example, 8 voters, you discard it. You take those from the bank, you put it in your registered supply. You have your workers out there, your campaign workers trying to get people to register for you. And so that registered supply are the pool of cubes that you then use to put out on the board. So that's a form of resource management, as well as fundraising. You have to raise money, so you play the card, get the amount shown. We are using dials. There's a giant version of the dials there. The dials keep you from having to make change, keep you from having to count all the time, speeds up the game a little bit that way. The main way that you get cubes on the board, and again, when you get cubes on the board, whatever party has the majority, the largest number of cubes in that state, has the electoral votes for that entire state. If it's tied, we actually have some tiebreakers. So for example, here, red and blue, let's say that wasn't 3. We'll do this. Red and blue each have 1 cube. They're tied. In this case, the leftmost star there, red, wins the tie. But let's say it wasn't between red and blue. Let's say it was blue and white. Again, we don't have white cubes for the giant version, but pretend there's a white cube there, white and blue. Well, red's not involved in the tie, so it would default to white. White would win that tie then in that case, for example. And so to keep track of that score, by the way, how that works in the game, this is kind of a representation of it, the larger score tracker. But we have an in-game score tracker. A lot of players have really enjoyed that concept, and it's a track. It's a chipboard, kind of double layer chipboard. It has little grooves for each party. You have tokens for each state. The physical size of the token is proportionate to the number of electoral votes. So as states change control, you just swap where it appears. And that allows you to eliminate completely any math and adding and calculations at the end of the game, any of that stuff. It also are color-coded related to the regions, which allows you to find those tokens quicker. Our minds recognize color faster than names and shapes even. And what we found is even speeding up, finding that token when you're changing control, anywhere even 3 to 5 seconds, eliminates about 10 to 15 minutes off the game, just in those little component manipulation. So we've even streamlined that type of aspect. So that's getting the majority. So getting those cubes out on the board, the main two ways to do that are campaigning and advertising. Campaigning is meant to be geographically local, if you will, but a bigger impact. So when I campaign, I have a certain section of states here. I have to have one of my pawns located in one of those states that appear on that card. That's where the travel action comes into play to set myself up for future turns. I can put up to 6 cubes out into that area. It costs me 10 million per cube. I don't have to do all 6. I can do less than that if I want to save money or whatever. I can do any combination. I don't have to put cubes where I'm located. We're in Indiana, it's Gencon, right? So if I'm in Indiana, I can put 6 in Ohio. Or I can put 3 in Indiana, 2 in Ohio, 1 in Michigan, for example, or whatever. The majority of these different combinations on the card, they all vary. There's a few that repeat, but most of them, for example, here, you may have Indiana on another card, but it may appear with Illinois and Missouri or something. So it's all different combinations, if you will. Advertising is meant to be more geographically dispersed, less impact. So with advertising, you're advertising on a particular political issue. There's 18 political issues throughout the game. The game specifically takes an unbiased approach, of course. A lot of players have fun with the little mini, kind of a little bit of role-playing aspect to it, kind of having fun, trash talking each other, that sort of thing with it if you want. But when you do that, you pay 20 million per icon, and you put a vote into any state where that appears. Advertising. So it is 20 million per icon that you advertise in. Some icons appear only in one state, some icons appear in multiple states. So how that works, like for example, the icons in California, like those icons only appear in California. So if I pay 20 million for that icon, I'm paying 20 million for that one vote. So effectively, California votes kind of cost me more, which is really realistic. However, I could, if I had one like conservation, for example, appears in 4 states. I'm still paying 20 million. I'm getting a cube, 4 different cubes in 4 states. However, it's less valuable states. So there's that kind of trade-off, if you will. That's how advertising works. And our last action is events. Events play a multitude of ways. There's some events that play in response to your opponent's turn, something they do, for example, a few of those. Most of them play instantly. Some of them affect regions, some of them affect home states, some of them affect the power icons, which are in the big states. There's scandals that you can play on your opponent. You can even pay hush money to cover up the scandal, all that fun stuff. Some events actually play on the table and have an ongoing effect. So there's even a little mini engine building mechanic in it, which is pretty unique with political theme games as well. So that is our 6 actions that we have as our option, but each card only contains 4 of those 6 actions. So that gives you a balance of, you have 5 cards, each one has 4 actions. So you never get stuck in a situation where you just can't play anything. However, not having all 6 actions on every card prevents some of the analysis paralysis. So it's a good balance between that. So again, you play a card, carry out that action, draw a new card, pretty simple. The game has 108 cards. We split it into 3 decks. In between each of those decks, we have a debate round. You're not actually debating verbally with the other opponent. There is a representation of debate throughout the game. There's debate icons, again, the same issue icons. The different icons are distributed among 6 different categories or broad topics. At the beginning of the game, during setup, you'll know what the topics are that you're going to be debating on. You pick randomly from a set of 15 cards. There's also city tokens that you pick randomly because the debate is held in a particular city. When that debate's held, you relocate to that city. So that could be good, that could be bad if you plan for it. It may be good if you were setting yourself up for something else. It may be bad to get sent away. But you'll know what the debate is. You'll play those cards. There's a debate mat, and you can cancel out what your opponent's already talked about. There also is some aspects where you can actually get off topic, because we know that would never happen in real debate, right? But the catch with that is, yeah, you get off topic, so you get more votes in these other areas, but now you've opened the door for your opponent to address that and allow them potentially to play a card they may not have otherwise been able to. So there's a trade-off there as well. All of the cards, by the way, are balanced within themselves. And what I mean by that, we specifically designed it so that no one card is going to always be played as fundraising because the other options are weak or whatever. So for example, the cards like that have plain that are really powerful have more options for advertising or better events or things like that. Fundraising, if I'm moving 4, it's 80 million, but here it's 5. Well, let me find a better one because that didn't have fundraising. Of course. Here's 3 and it's 60 million. So it's less funds, less travel, and so on. So comparing card to card, some are more powerful than others, but within a card, all the different options are roughly equal. It is kind of a bell curve, so the more powerful cards there's a few of, the less powerful cards there's a few of, the kind of medium weight cards there's more quantity of, so that part is balanced. Lots of balance in the game, multiple layers, I have multiple spreadsheets, trying to figure all this out, it's good times. So that's how the cards work. We also have home states that you pick, you get a benefit in your home state, you start in that home state. That's done by the states here in the corner of your beginning hand. These states in the corner are referenced on some event cards, they're also used to pick your home state. That's also done kind of on a bell curve. You'll never find California and Texas because, again, we didn't want that to be just randomly somebody gets California's home state or something. You also never find the tiny states. So that way it kind of affects the medium states because that's really where the crux of the game and the real-world campaign, that's really where it's fought, is those medium states. So we wanted to kind of mimic that aspect, if you will. And then lastly, we also actually have character cards. That's fairly new, but we've been refining that and developing that. Again, the game plays up to 6 players. We have 12 different character cards, so it is a lot of replayability. Each character has both a strength and a weakness. The strength targets one aspect of the game, the weakness targets a different aspect of the game. And so there's a lot of combinations and a lot of different ways you can go with the strategy from game to game, so it adds even more replayability. In the Kickstarter, which is September 16th, we are also offering a reward tier where you can actually pick the name of the candidate and get your own caricature image made so you can be part of the game. It is double-sided, so there's a male side and a female side. Same exact abilities, but it opens it up to more individuals that way. So yeah, that is Campaign Trail. Plays very well, been in development for literally 4 years. Very well refined, very well received. People have been loving it. And Kickstarter is September 16th, so definitely feel free to check that out. Thank you.
All right, that is Campaign Trail from Cosmic Wombat Games, coming to a Kickstarter to you September 16th. Be sure to post a Kickstarter link down below. If this looks like it might be your cup of tea, be sure to check out that Kickstarter down below. And if you're enjoying this content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button below or our awesome sponsors down below. And in the comments below, let me know, political theme games, are they your cup of tea? Me personally, no, but I actually listed this as one of my top 10 games of Gencon because I just like the premise. 2 to 6 players, intriguing, teamwork, vice president, president. I like that concept a lot. So what do you think about campaign games? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
Bowers Game Corner presents Gencon Video Bonanza 2015. Brought to you by Gatekeeper Games, makers of the King's Armory, Thunder Track, the new sequel to Turbo Rally Card Racing, and the generosity of these great companies. They support us, go support them.